right, welcome back to the realm. Hey, well, here we are, ballers and ballerinas. It's time to get ready for the exam week. Not only AP World, but all of your other tests as well. So we're going to go through a couple of things tonight and then get all of your questions answered. We got some tips and some clues coming your way. Won't take us too long. Please check in with me in the comments. Hey, if you can't comment or can't ask a question, send your questions to your friends. Have them ask on your behalf, have them check in for you. Let me know that you are here. Now, what we're going to do tonight, key advice, like always, very important. Number 2, we'll talk about the final format. Number 3, we'll have a short commercial break, and then we'll go into question and answer session. So let's get into the key advice, okay? Key advice tonight, more so, you don't really have to write everything down because, you've been studying for quite some time. My final piece of encouragement, though, is that you've had the review sheet for close to a month now. You want to make sure that you're utilizing the terms there. It is your key to success. There's going to be some things on the exam that might not be on the review sheet, such as the categorization or the events on the timeline, which is fine. That's fine. But if you know the review sheet fairly well, it's going to really help you on this big picture assessment. Number 2, pray for the right things, right? I would say don't pray for success on this exam, but rather ask the good Lord to help guide you to use your talents to the fullest in these last couple of days. Ask for guidance on how to manage your time, how to make things more efficient for yourself. Those are the kind of things that you want to look at. You would look at all the things going on in the world. Understand it's kind of a privilege to be taking this test where other people are going through way more difficult things, right? It's a privilege. The pressure of this exam is a privilege to have. It really is. If you look at it that way, very positive outlook, right? And you can control that. But just remember to say the prayer of gratitude. I mean, you're so fortunate. We're all so lucky to be where we are. So make sure that you're thanking the good Lord for all of those blessings. Number 3, we have to be here now. I can't stress that enough. This is what Be Here Now is all about. This is the time where you put that into play, right? You want to make sure that you are utilizing the Be Here Now mentality, focusing on the task at hand. Tomorrow, your first hour exam, hey, when you walk in there, when you're coming to school, you should be popping in whatever that first hour exam is. I know it's not my class. I don't have a first hour. That's my prep period. Second hour, though, the boys in second hour need to pop in history and make sure that they're ready to go. And then, of course, as we go throughout those days, you got to be able to transition one subject out, one subject in, right? That should be really your sole focus this week. The Be Here Now mentality this week is really God, family, and exams. Like really, there shouldn't be really much else to focus on, right? Those 3 things, God, family, examinations, getting yourself ready to ball out of control on these tests. Number 4, you're in this position most likely due to your parents. Make sure that you say thank you to your parents. If you got to stop what you're doing right now, go say thank you to your parents. Tell them that you love them. Make sure that you do that tonight. Show your gratitude, express your gratitude. That's really important. They sacrifice a lot for you. Next, number 5, my favorite one of the night, meet the challenge. It's going to be a challenge. I sure hope this is the hardest test that you've taken. I hope it's the most difficult test that you take this year, at least. I know it's probably going to be the longest, but I want you to rise to the occasion. Don't shy away. Don't shy away from the challenge. Meet the challenge. Make sure you're prepared. Get yourself ready to ball out of control. Be here now. And, of course, rep the realm while you're doing it. And repping the realm, there's a lot more to that. Repping the realm means, balling out of control on the exam, doing well in your sports, working hard, right? But also it means being respectful to your teachers, leading by example, doing the right thing. Now, here's one thing that during exam week is really important. Like, if for some reason your teacher lets you out of your exam early, please do not go to your next class and stand in the doorway like this and look in the classroom, even sticking your forehead on the glass. That is really annoying to teachers. and kids who are in the class. So please either stay in the session for the full 90 minutes or go sit in the lobby. Don't go and stand in the glass doorway and just stare into the room for 10 minutes. Okay. Like go study somewhere, do something, have something to eat, a snack or something like that. But man, I'll tell you, you will see kids just going for about 5 minutes because they're all stressed out. So don't be that person. Okay. All right. Enough said on that. Now, what's next on the agenda? Okay. We got, this came, holy donkeys, this came, somebody slid this under my door in the classroom. It's cuneiform. I translated it into English. You have to use the Rosetta Stone to do that. And it's the exam format. Pretty clever, whoever made that. Anyway, the final format I thought I'd share with you so we all know what we're exactly up against. I know I've talked about it before, but I'm going to go through the exact format. You're going to have 125 multiple choice matching true and false. That means a blend. Mostly multiple choice, couple sections of matching, a few true and false, not very many. Then there's going to be a 50 item, and I cut it down to 16 categorization. So 16 categories. We know that the categories are civilizations. We have no clue what the items are going to be. That could be anything. You've got to put those items in the appropriate categories. Then 10 event timeline, what I would say is the hardest part of the exam. And then finally, 5 short answer extended response questions. So how do the points break down? I adjusted the points, so I want to make sure that everybody knows. Multiple choice matching true and false will be 1 point per question for a total of 125 points. Categorization will be 50 points, 1 for every item. So you're at what, 175? The timeline's only 10 points. So even though it's the hardest part of the exam, it's only 10 points total. So you're at, you're at 185. Then you've got your short answer, extended response are going to be a total of 25 points. So it's going to be 5 points each. There's 5 short answers, extended response questions. I just decided to make them 5 points each, no matter what. So that gives us a grand total of about 210 points. The cool thing about that, I was trying to cut it down to 200 points because that would be just like a quiz. So, if you get a 16 out of 20 in a quiz, that'd be like a 160 out of 200. So here it's going to be kind of close for me to say, oh, well, Johnny X or Jenny Y, they generally get a 17 and a half. So I'm looking to see 175 out of 210 or 180 out of 210, something like that. So that'll make it a way that I can kind of see how you finished up. Okay. Oh, well, you might want to turn up your volume. We have a commercial break coming your way here, and you might want to pay very close attention to the quick commercial break. Here we go. Volume up. Hey, so Ella, have you been learning about history in social studies class?
Yeah.
What have you been learning about?
I learned about a major empire that fell. I also learned about a war between major city-states. Then I learned about some times of peace.
Ooh, definite clues in the commercial break. If you can put 2 and 2 together, got 3 good clues there from little Ella. All right, now, ballers, it's time to go into the question and answer session. So let's go ahead and begin. I am ready for your questions. Boji says, wait, that's not true about the cuneiform letter. Oh, well, that tells me that it was Boji guy who wrote it. Thank you. What a great move by me. Great way to figure out who wrote the fake cuneiform letter. Thanks, Boji, for turning yourself in. Easy investigation for me. All right, go ahead and share your questions. I will answer them to the best of my ability. I am waiting. There's no signature, sir. Timeline has exactly 10 events. I'll give you another clue. 3 of the events on the timeline are from the BC era. 7 are from the AD time period. All right, ballers, let's go. Question time. Let's get them in. I am ready. Well, they spread from the BC era all the way to pretty much chapter 16. So chapter 1 to chapter 16 date span would be the best that I can say it. There are some that are more tightly compacted. I would say they're pretty evenly dispersed throughout the timeline. Other questions? Well, 5 characteristics of civilization. You've got very easy, you're going to need to know them, but then you're also going to have to, of course, define them and then, of course, provide examples. So you've got advanced cities, advanced technology, complex institutions, specialization, and then you also have record keeping. Those are the 5 characteristics of civilization. It's up to you to be able to, of course, define and provide examples. Sargon of Akkad was a key military leader from a city-state called Akkad, which was just north of Sumer. He is known for conquering all of the Sumerian city-states and forming the world's first empire by combining all of the Sumerian/Mesopotamian city-states under his control, forming the world's first empire, which was called the Akkadian Empire. The Estates General was, of course, a big meeting in France, and it was sort of a democratic ideology because it was a meeting that involved all 3 social classes in France, which were the first estate, the second estate, and the third estate. First estate was, of course, the church and clergy. The second estate were your nobles. Your third estate were your commoners. So it was a meeting that had at least some type of input or voting representing all 3 estates. That's why it's called the Estates General. It was usually called together to make decisions on big ideas. What can we expect on the writing portion? Well, 5 short answers and extended responses. Outside of what I told you in class, because I told you a lot of clues about possibilities, and I had possibilities on the review sheet for the written portion. So I'm not going to really say too much more about that. I will say that the letter C is extremely important in the majority of the questions regarding the short answer extended response. It seems to be the first letter leading into many of the questions. Who created a phalanx? Kind of tough one to really narrow down. Greeks, though. Greeks, whether it be Athens or Sparta, both of them will claim it. Both of them utilized it. It's a Greek word. So as long as you know that the phalanx was a Greek invention, you should be in good shape. So this is Egypt, okay? The old kingdom of Egypt is probably the most prominent Egyptian kingdom because that's when the pyramids were built. And the fact that they were building these pyramids shows the true strength and power of the civilization at that time. Then, you have the Middle Kingdom, you've got some weak leadership. The Egyptians get conquered and taken over by the Hyksos, who came across the Suez, right? And they were from the Palestine region. They came in chariots. The New Kingdom begins by driving out the Hyksos and Egyptian independence regaining power with strong pharaohs and leadership. So that's really all you need to know right there in a nutshell. So provinces are a part of like almost every civilization that we learned about. Even the United States has had provinces. We still have provinces like Puerto Rico, Guam, Wake Island. Okay. So provinces are areas of control that aren't generally adjacent to the homeland territory. One of the key civilizations that we've learned about that had many provinces was the Roman Empire, right? The Roman Empire, you have, okay, Rome, but then you have the province of Gaul, which is modern day France, the province of Britannia, which is modern day England, the province of Judea, which is modern day Jerusalem, the province of Nubia, which is a section of Africa, right? So that's what you need to know about provinces, what they are, some examples. Yes, something like that there. Yeah, so there's going to be some events on the timeline that are fairly close together. All right. I would say there are there's one there's two combos that are like within 100 years. Okay, there's two combos out of the 10 that are within 100 years. So I mean, knowing the dates will definitely help you. It can't knowing the dates is important because it's going to help you, but in general, you just want to know where things fit in the greater scheme of things. Yeah, if you know kind of within 50 years of an event happening, you're in really good shape. The three C's: causation, comparison, change in continuity over time. All the kings of Numenor. I'm not going to give you extra credit. I mean, I am a huge Lord of the Rings fan, but for this, no. I mean, it's not going to be related to anything on this test. Well, Moses was a key figure in both Hebrew history, Judaism, and of course Christianity. The Ten Commandments are paramount in almost every early Christian or Judeo-Christian civilization. So he's definitely a figure you need to know. He in the book it talked about how Egypt had slaves that were Hebrews, right? And Moses led the Hebrews out of that slavery during the Exodus. So that was during the time of Ramses. So you need to know all of that information. It's pretty basic stuff. Well, chapter 10 was all about the Islamic world, the caliphates, the life of Muhammad, the Bedouin ideals, right? That stuff could show up on the timeline, it could show up on the categorization. So, there you go. Well, you need to know what they did. You need to know that they participated in whaling. They definitely used the sea for whaling, fishing, transportation, trade. They utilized the coastal forest. They practiced the potlatch. You need to know. You need to know that information. AP questions. You need to know the four types, right? The ones that we've practiced thus far: MCQs, SAQs, DBQs, LEQs. So I'm giving you that. You can describe those is what you're going to need to do, though. You can't just say MCQ, SAQ, LEQ, DBQ. You won't get credit. You're going to have to say what those actually mean and how they're formulated, right? So, like, can you describe a DBQ? Can you tell me in writing what it is and what you have to do in a nutshell? You don't have to go through the whole rubric, but it can't be answered in like a one word answer. You got to be able to describe it. Which, if you've been in my class, you should be able to do that. The only one we haven't really gotten into yet is the LEQ, but it's covered in depth in the AMSCO reading. So do a little research there and you should be good to go. Yeah, there are going to be some short answers that I didn't directly say, and that's a good thing. There will be things that are taught that we're taught in the class, though. So you want to be responsible for those, and it's in your notes, it's in the reading of the text, it's on the review sheet. Yeah. Causeways are the man-made raised roads that the Aztecs built to get on and off the island of Tenochtitlan. They connected the island of Tenochtitlan to the mainland. So they built them by driving wooden stakes into the ground and then filling it with rocks and soil until it came up above the water level. And that way you could walk across those man-made land bridges. Atahualpa was the key leader of the Incan Empire at the time in which it was invaded by the Spanish and, of course, conquered by the Spanish. Philip II, Philip IV, those are chapter 13 and 14 about Europe. Yes, 13 and 14. Both Philips are leaders of France. They were Capetian kings. Thomas Aquinas was a key Roman Catholic philosopher. And Frederick was known as Frederick of Barbarossa. He was Holy Roman Emperor who attempted to come on the Third Crusade, but died on the way. Okay. I've thought I made this pretty clear, but no, there's no AP style questions on the midterm. There are going to be some AP concepts, which I very clearly stated would be on there. Yeah. Once again, I've already given you a lot of clues on that, so I'm not going to really discuss that anymore. Differences between the Dorians and Mycenaeans. Well, Mycenaeans were first. Mycenaeans were a very strong civilization of Greece. They're from the Peloponnesus. The Dorians are from the same area of Greece. But the Mycenaeans had writing. They had built cities with great walls. The one thing you need to know about the Dorians is that they were illiterate. So we have a gap in history about them. We don't really know a whole lot about the Dorians because they did not have a system of writing. I told you exactly what the short answer are going to be. So it shouldn't be, you guys should know. You should know by now. This next question, I'm not going to pull it up there because whoever has it put a rather inappropriate name, but it asks about the type of things on the timeline. It says, whether it be inventions, battles, new institutions, and falls of empires. Yes, that's a really good way to look at it. Change your username. That's not very funny. And it's not going to be one single category. No, it's going to be a mixture of many different categories. Well, you want to know that these were usually independent city-states. So although we as historians call them Greeks, you know that each independent city-state had sort of its own unique qualities and cultural practices. Like really more so, except for the Dorians and Mycenaeans, I wouldn't focus too much on those. I'd focus more on Athens and Sparta, knowing the differences between those two. Athens was more democratic. It was more well-rounded. It had military and it had education. It focused on philosophy. Whereas Sparta was really more focused on just military, right? That would be an example. Yep, you're going to have to define the 3 C's. Yes. So Peloponnesian War, you want to know who fought. That's Athens versus Sparta, right? What were some of the things that happened? Who were some of the leaders? Like Pericles was a big player from Athens. The plague of Athens took him out along with many other Athenians. And then it goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then who eventually comes out in the lead, you know, and who benefits most from the outcome of the Peloponnesian War. Trojan horse, I mean, it may show up on the categorization. Okay. If you need to describe the Trojan War or there's a question that's multiple choice or true and false or matching, I mean, it's part of understanding the Trojan War. It's part of understanding the Mycenaeans. It's part of understanding Troy. So yeah, anything you ask me if I need to know, I'm going to say yes. There you go. Nope. No 17 on the midterm. Yep. Just like normal. This it's not going to be easy. I don't like matching that you can use process of elimination. When you can use process of elimination, it doesn't tell me that you actually know every single answer. So, of course, I'm going to have more possibilities than there are. I'm going to have the possibility of being able to use the answer more than once, definitely. For the most part, like I mean, we've covered a lot of information, so I can't say, I mean, we've covered what, over 500 pages, 12 chapters. I can't say that I've got them all in exact order, but in rough general chronological order, yes. More so they'll kind of follow the review sheet, I think would be more of how I've got it organized. When I write my review sheets, I kind of look at the questions and then whatever the question is like based on, I put that term, or if there are distractors, I put those terms on there so you know those so that you know whether it's right or wrong. Nope, I already gave you the 5 characteristics. You can utilize your book, your notes, and my videos. I mean, there's so much out there. I mean, put some work into it and you'll be able to answer that. No, I'm not going to go over that. I gave you the 5 characteristics. You got to do some work. Because they're relevant to the other chapters. You know what I mean? Like this is not rote memorization. If there's something that was in the book from chapter 3, but it's relevant to the other chapters, then it's on there. And you've had over a month to prepare, so if it's on there, you should know it. And if you don't know it, you can ask me, and I'll give you the definition. But if it's relevant to anything that we've learned, then it's going to be assessed. All right. So Alexander the Great, of course, he's Macedonian, right? He was a Macedonian king. Philip II, his father, was Macedonian. So he's definitely Macedonian. But remember, Macedonia took over Greece, right? Philip and Alexander conquered Greece. So everything that goes on from that point forward, Alexander is known as representing Greek culture. Okay. So you're going to have to be able to understand him in both capacities. If, let's say, on the categorization, there's a category of Macedonia and a category of Greece, then he would be more Macedonian than Greek. If only Greece is on there, then he's definitely going to fall into Greece. If only Macedonia is on there, then he's going to fall into Macedonia. So that's the way that I would look at it there. Chapter 12, there's a lot of key concepts: Confucianism, Neo-Confucianism, the civil service exam, Buddhism, right? Early history of India, early history of East Asia, all of the minor civilizations like Majapahit, the Khmer Empire, of course, the Ming and Song dynasty, Mongols, right? Mongols are a huge part of chapter 12. So some way, shape, or form, you're going to have the Mongols involved on this exam. The Mongols had an empire. They ruled with fear. They collected massive amounts of tribute, but they were pretty tolerant of religious practices and cultural practices as well. So as long as you provided them the tribute and obeyed their rules, the Mongols allowed you to practice your own kind of religious, cultural practices across the board. I wouldn't totally say that. I mean, if there's something that like chapter 9 is relevant to chapter 16. So like if you were on the Friday virtual day where I talked about the Beringia theory and those different possibilities on how people came to the Americas, that was like a summary of chapter 9, right? Chapter 4 is Egypt. So it's like Egypt during the New Kingdom. That's why I kind of pulled out of that one, because we already learned about Egypt and things of that nature. So we didn't cover it in depth, but it's relevant. 7 is like early India, but we covered India a little bit in chapter 12. 8 is early Africa, but we covered Africa in chapter 15. So, I wouldn't say they're totally exempt. Some of the ideologies are the same. Mongols were spread out really far. I mean, you know that they lost to the Russians in the standoff because the Russians had developed guns where the Mongols didn't. And then eventually they sort of dissipated. They were kind of removed by the Muslim empires and the gunpowder empires like the Ottomans and the Mughals, who we'll learn about in chapters 18 and 19. So we haven't really learned how the Mongols were totally defeated yet because we're not at that part in history. So that wouldn't really be relevant unless you're talking about Russia. Yeah, it'll say start or end of something. If it's like a time span, it'll say start of this period or end of this period. Yep. Yeah, like I said, the hardest part of this exam is the timeline. And then the second hardest part is categorization because you can't just straight memorize, which is good. You need to actually think critically and utilize your knowledge and your historical reasoning skills, like comparison, causation, continuity, and change over time. I'm not a big promoter of rote memorization. So that's why I have the timeline and that's why I have the categorization, because I want you to be able to have something on this exam that you can't just sit there and you know, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for you to think a little bit and apply your knowledge. Yeah, that's why I like the short answer, the categorization, and the timeline. No, unfortunately, I can't do that. No. Yeah, I announced to you guys Friday. I said, hey, if you're in the second session of the day, then you can stay about a half hour to 40 minutes overtime. And if you are in the early session, like on Tuesday, if you're in my third hour, you can come a half hour early and start. So trying to give you extra time if you want and may need it. Of course, if you have an IEP and qualify for extra time, then you are given time and a half no matter what. So whatever session you're in, we got it all arranged that you're going to get the time that you need. I already answered this one. I talked about the Abbasid Caliphate, the formation of the Islamic faith under Muhammad, and then of course the Bedouin peoples, the House of Wisdom, all of those ideologies there. Well, if you tell yourself you're cooked, you might be. But if you tell yourself that you're not, that'd be the way to go. If you tell yourself you're ready, and if you are ready, if you can look in the mirror and say, hey, I put in all the possible effort that I could to get ready, and now we're talking, AC. Master Cribs, I think. Oh, that's hard for me to really determine, Thomas. I'm not sure I can answer that one. It's going to vary person to person. I don't think really I've heard too much. I mean, it's usually the chapters that I didn't put onto the review sheet, like chapter 12 or chapter 10, but they usually don't show up in the multiple choice. They show up on the categorization, and everybody kind of seems to have a little bit of trouble with the categorization because, once again, it's not the type of question where you can just sit there and memorize, and then spit out, what's in your mind. You have to actually think. And when students struggle when they have to actually think and apply knowledge, that's kind of the norm across, the United States. I mean, when you have to actually use your knowledge and think a little bit, that's where kids struggle universally. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing. That's the challenge that you need. Nope. Nope. Okay, other questions. I am here. I'm going to stay on here until you guys are satisfied. Some things I'm not going to answer. Like I told you, I'm not going to give away short answers or whatnot. But take a look at here about Middle Ages, knights, and battle tactics. You got to just know the basics. You got to know what the Middle Ages were about. What was going on? Why were the Middle Ages? Why was there chivalry? Why was there feudalism? Battle tactics of knights, like the horse was important, cavalry, the armor that they utilized, right? Weapons that stopped knights, like the longbow, the crossbow, siege tactics. Those are things that you may want to know that could help you on a short answer or help you on a multiple choice, possibly a categorization. Indeed, I like this attitude. Very good. What's up with that profile picture? Is that Young Gravy? Who is that? Let me know because I don't know who that is. But I'm kind of interested. Any other way to look at it? Yeah, you're going to saute this test if you really have a good positive mental attitude. Yeah, I like sauteed shrimp. Interesting. I mean, basic stuff. I don't think it's relevant tonight. But probably more so the movie than the play. The movie had Lawrence Fishburne in it when I was about your age. Yup. Yep. Anything that's on the review sheet, you got to know for sure. And anything that could be relevant, yes. Key people to know in Russia are the ones mentioned on the review sheet: Vladimir, Yaroslav the Wise. You might want to know Princess Olga because she spread religion, right? Yes, something like that. Other questions? Yes, number one suggested study tool throughout the entire year. If you've paid attention to anything that I've taught you, what do I say every chapter quiz on the live review? I'm like, hey, read through your notes, read through your notes, read through your notes. Anything that's on the review sheet that you find in your notes, highlight, underline, box. Yeah, that's where it comes from right there. The overlay and the underplay, right? Something like that. So you got the Emperor Justinian, okay, and his wife was Theodora. I would Was I really right on that? Is that who that is? Seriously? He's got some funny songs. Hey Webb, I didn't know you listened to Young Gravy, but that's really funny. You got to figure that out. I gave you the clue. I'm not telling you anymore. Okay. All right. Something like that. That there, baller. No, the three sources of authority for Islam: the Quran, the Sunnah, which is following Muhammad's example, and Sharia law. Could be, but not as much on this test. Like every quiz, yes. On this test, though, those type of things are kind of zeroed out because I've really created a guide on the review sheet on the multiple choice, the matching that covers you. The categorization, though, the timeline, yeah, that's a possibility. Yes. Yes, for the most part. Sunni and Shia are the two factions or sectors of Islamic faith, right? They disagree on certain ideologies, right? Like it's mostly based off of like who should be the ruler. Okay. The Sunni, they don't really care who the ruler is as long as you follow the Sunnah, which is Muhammad's example. Shia or Shiites believe that the ruler must be a bloodline relative of Muhammad. So Clovis was like the first king of the Franks, first like really important king of the Frankish Empire or kingdom. Battle of Tours was the big major battle, the world-changing battle between the Franks, at that time led by Charles Martel, versus the Islamic invaders coming up from Spain. And we said that had the Muslims won this battle, most of Europe would have become Islamic. The Franks were like the only Christian group fighting for the defense of Christian Europe. Nope, because it starts with Justinian. I'm saying that they start with a C. Well, Alex, if you were paying attention, I gave a clue. I said that the majority of the short answers are related to the letter C. You're not going to have to repeat it, Adelina, but knowing the chart helps you understand feudalism. So, that's not going to be a short answer, but it does show the relationship of how feudal society was structured, right? Okay. Hey, we've been on for 42 minutes. I'm willing to help you out. If there's any other questions, let me know in the comments. If there's anything you want to know, if you're just nervous and you need to talk about something, I'm here for you. This is funny. The C stuff is funny. Yeah, so that's you're smart, Master Jacob. Don't read into it too much, but I respect the critical thinking there. I do. That would be R, Master Alex. Wow. Any other questions, comments, concerns? I'll do my best to answer them for you. Read through your notes. Anything that you find in your notes that's on the review sheet, read above it, read below it. Okay. Make sure you get the full context of any term or key idea. That's really the number one thing I think that you should be doing. I've been saying that all year long, but I've really been saying that during this process. I think that'd be, if I were you, that's what I would do. The other thing that I might do, depending on what hour you are, you're 7th hour, I believe. So maybe listening to my video lessons or the previous live reviews, kind of hearing me explain the notes, that might be another thing I might do. I mean, you could have that like playing in your mind while you're studying too. I don't know. I don't know. I'm more of a paper and pencil guy. So that's why I say use your review sheet, read your notes, compare what you got. But that'd be my other piece of advice. No, no. Everything that's on the timeline is somewhere in the notes. I'm not going to answer that one. Did you just call me Bud, Adelina? Oh, that might be the crew. It might be your first crew of the year. I'm sorry. Hey, it's hard for me to conceptualize where all of my students are, but I apologize. Sign of weakness by me. Yeah, she got me. She got me for sure. Who's McDonald's? Asking the same question. I already gave the hint. I'm not going to repeat hints, man. You got to be here paying attention. Who's McDonald's? It's cool. I got you. It's no worries. All right. Any other questions? I wouldn't say exclusively. I think there probably are some categorization items that are in AMSCO, but if they are, they're also in the notes or the textbook, World History Patterns of Interaction. Can't tell you where the hints belong. You got to just take the hint for what they are. It's like a clue. You got to figure it out, Gold salt trade was huge for West African societies. I mean, it was pretty much predicated their entire economy, right? So that's what you want to know. The societies like Mali that had gold, they traded with the regions of the Maghreb, like the Almoravids and the Almohads, for the salt. And it was a trade-off. Major trading items that were used. Give me some more context, like where, when. Who's McDonald's, man? McDonald's is killing me with the spamming of the chat with the same question. I want to know who McDonald's is. And also, if you're not subscribed, McDonald's, subscribe. Help me out. You know what I mean? Because I haven't seen McDonald's all year, so I know that's somebody like new or something like that. All right, Africa trade items: gold, salt, turtle shells, ivory tusks, basic things like that. Europe, you got tin, you have copper, you got stone, you have lumber from forest regions, you have olive oil from Italy. Those are some of the things that you want to know. It can't hurt. You know what I mean? It can't hurt. McDonald's is killing me, man. This is so funny. I don't even understand the question, so I don't know how I can answer at McDonald's. Now that's not very nice. Come on now. Come on now. I would say less. And if it's not on the review sheet, if it's on the review sheet, it means there's more likely than not at least one question about it, right? So you can use your deductive logic to figure out, all right, if it's on the review sheet, it's probably at least a question about it, or two, or three, or four. If it's not on the review sheet, it's most likely on the categorization or the timeline. It's really the only two spots that it can show up. Yeah. My review sheet is pretty comprehensive. I'm not gonna lie to you. Knowing the review sheet is really going to help you. I gotta figure out who McDonald's is. Interesting profile picture. Something like that there. Okay. No Sir Ducky sighting, but we know who Sir Ducky is. That's why. Okay. It looks like we're out of questions. Hey, last thing I'm going to say is good luck on all your tests this week. God bless all of you. You're all Realm family. I really look at it that way. So hopefully this was helpful for you. And of course, if you have more questions throughout the week, you can always come see me, email me, or even message me on the Realm of History Instagram page. I'm usually actually very active and I will respond in a fairly quick time frame. Okay. So I think we are going to go ahead and cut it for the night. You guys need to get prepared for your first and second hour exam tomorrow. So good luck, best wishes. Make sure you say the prayer of gratitude. We're so blessed to be in the position that we are to take this exam. And hey, if you need my help, I'm there for you. Take it easy and thank you for being here. I appreciate it.